You know, you watch and read enough dystopia fiction, you start to develop your favorite dystopia you want to live in. Yeah, it would suck to live there, but if you had to choose, I would choose to live in the Attack on Titan one. Yeah, you have to deal with corrupt governments and titans and racism, but I would at least get the chance to fly around with the swords, and on the off chance, I may get some time powers and destroy a city or two. Instead, I get the pleasure of not one, but two dystopias to live in. The worst ones. The first is the obvious one that everyone likes to point to, Idiocracy. The movie that has pretty much predicted where the world is going to go, with people either being lazy, stupid, or violent, or worse, all three, being the only ones to repopulate the earth. The second one is the world of Shimoneta, a world where the concept of dirty jokes doesn't exist.
I appreciate your support.
It's been 10 years since that anime came out, and how has it aged like fine wine? Yeah, I think this is one of the animes that spoke to me. It appealed to my values, it was new at the time, it got me back into anime, it introduced me to the anime world of awkward titles, and it had a lot of appeal. A lot of appeal. So much so, I'm fairly sure I'm gonna have to censor this a lot on YouTube.
Ironic.
So what is Shimoneta about anyway?
Sex!
That's the short answer. Long answer, Japan has become a society where all sexual content and language has been outlawed by the government. And in case you were wondering, Shimoneta is Japanese for blue joke, dirty joke, and obscene joke. Started as a light novel turned manga, it tackles topics of sexuality and social commentary, but it only really started picking up when the anime came onto the scene. For simplicity's sake, I will be mainly dealing with the anime. I have read the manga, but it stops at volume 4. There's also really not that much that goes on other than a tournament arc between the Arrow terrorist organizations. Of course there's a tournament arc, you can't anime proper without at least one tournament arc. You do still have the light novels. I only know of one plot point in there. I'll leave the light novels for another day because they are a beast to get through. Also very hard to track down. Other than that, enjoy, and please like and subscribe. It would make me very happy if you did. But let us see what the story is about. The story of Shimoneta follows our main non-black haired protagonist, Tanukichi Okuma, son of a notorious terrorist who opposed the laws they were starting to implement. He wants to go to the most morally upstanding school in the country. Why would our protagonist want to go to this school that is supposed to be the most morally progressive, virtuous school? And why would they accept him, given his background coming from a known terrorist? Well, for him, he wanted to be closer to Anna, the student council president, because of how she treated him kindly back when they were kids. When his father was arrested, everyone ostracized him. All except Anna, who through her kindness and pureness made him want to attend the school and be a better person. For them, it was to utilize Okuma's knowledge to help them in their pursuit to purify the school of all obscenities, because they lived the sheltered life and don't know the sexual innuendos themselves. By the way, our student council is small, made up of 4 people, Okuma being the newest member, our other member is Gokuri, the muscle and treasurer of the group, Anna, the president or real muscle of the group, and Ayame, the vice president. Ayame Kajou, while being on the student council and secondary protagonist to Okuma, she's also the infamous Blue Snow of the terrorist organization SOX, and she does have a memorable first appearance. Yeah, this girl loves dirty jokes, enough that she literally needs 3 minutes a day to crank one out. I said what I said. She was raised by her father, Masashi Endo, a politician who actively fought against the morale laws. However, in 2020, Ayame's life took a bad turn when Masashi was arrested for allegedly stooping a high school girl. In her loneliness, she became friends with Anna. But Ayame loves dirty jokes, so much so that it bloomed into a blue flower, in the snow. So Blue Snow is formed and SOX comes into existence. So what is SOX exactly? Well, it is a terrorist organization by the loosest of definitions. Actually, they have a new word I find funny. They are Arrow terrorist, erotic terrorist. Socks started by Ayame, aka Blue Snow, wants to spread the word of sexuality and erotic education throughout the land of Japan. So, like Christianity, only they mean something different when they say turn the other cheek. I always love to see the meaning behind the creative process behind the films, books, and comics that I read, or watch. Sometimes it's intentional, like breaking the fourth wall. Other times it was just done on the fly because it was the cheapest option. As for the meaning behind socks, I always thought it was named that way because it's close to sex, only this one has a hole in it.
The O looks just like a butthole.
And while yes, true, it has other hidden meanings, like the O is actually how the Japanese censor words in Japan. I also see the male and female sex symbols in there. We welcome all genders into socks. It's also apparently an acronym for Sex Happens Most Often on Xmas. A poor acronym, but one nonetheless. As for the joke, well, if you wonder why a lot of birthdays are in September, well, 9 months ago, your parents The garden eel mascot is probably a loose reference to the Dream of the Fisherman's Wife, a famous Japanese erotic painting. No, I'm not showing that on here. You have Google, look it up. Only difference is that it was an octopus, not an eel. And the biggest one is that this is a parody of the band SOS Brigade from Haruhi Suzumiya, enough that they are even in the opening. Now I will say that the world building here is an interesting one, because we already have obscenity laws. But as a wise man once said,
it can always be worse.
And with these new laws, known as Law for Public Order and Morals in Healthy Child Raising. Yeah, that doesn't sound familiar at all.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
And ragtime, shameless music that'll grab your son, your daughter, with the arms of a jungle animal instinct, mass hysteria.
Are we going to let troublemakers like Horton poison the minds of our children?
Not the children! Turning all the children into hooligans and whores!
Our children are out of control! This is what happens when toilet humor is allowed to run rampant!
Unnatural depiction occurred in full public view, where it was accessible to and in plain sight of minor children.
We have to do something!
For the children!
For the children!
Or your son, or yours, or yours, or yours.
They hope to bring Japan into a more prosperous future. Yeah, this anime is both subtle and not so subtle when it comes to certain topics. The obvious question is, how do you enforce this new law? Yeah, you could cut off the supply lines for pornography. They deleted all the porn.
I was only halfway done. Halfway done!
This is why physical media is important, kids. What if Amazon deletes your porn off your Kindle? But how do you enforce it for what people say and do? Well, with these nifty little devices called PMs, or peacemakers. Wait, what?
And I'm so honored, Mr. Okuma, that you would devour it. Your cookies have my love nectar mixed in the dough.
Huh. A little ironic to have devices named after the one character that goes against their idea of a peaceful world. I'm just gonna go continue calling them peacemakers only because I get to put more peacemaker in this video. Peacemaker! So these peacemakers, or PMs, works at several devices. It acts as this world's version of a smartphone. In fact, the only cell phone we see is this one Ayame uses to basically block the peacemaker signals so she can make all the dirty jokes she wants. You can look up info on it. It also acts as an Alexa, virtual assistant that will report you if you say the wrong thing. And even motion tracking. So you can't even make obscene gestures or write or draw anything lewd. Like say a picture of a naked woman with a poem on her body, and your name down where... That is how we get introduced to another cast member, Otome Satome, Sock's dirty illustrator. Because pictures are one thing, but...
This is proof that 2D is still better than 3D any day.
Her arc is she is blocked creatively and wants to draw something meaningful, but doesn't know what. She has a crush on Anna, and her love is expressed through her art. Enough so that she draws her constantly. That's a healthy way to express it. Meanwhile, other people have other ways to express their love. More grapey ways. Yeah, Anna is probably my favorite character in all this. She starts out as Okuma's love interest and honestly a little boring and self-righteous. That all changes after another anime trope, the accidental kiss. After the animation is turned up to 11 as well as her horniness, I guess this also activates her superpowers. There are no confirmed superpowers here, but I mean, she is jumping and fighting like a mad woman the hornier she gets. Within the first episode, they already tackle why this world doesn't work. Or well, works, but only for those special chosen few. Literally, the first 5 minutes into this world and they already show how someone can benefit from ruining another's life.
You ruined it! I was about to make some serious money off that kid!
Yeah, this is not a new issue, it's literally been a bug since the beginning. That is how Ayame's father was arrested. He was framed by the Peacemakers in Decency Squad. The Decency Squad being this world's enforcers, I guess. False accusations are a real problem, and only undermine those that are actually trying to get help. Also, he was not into young women.
Daddy preferred G-MILFs.
What kind of dad tells his daughter that?
Maybe instead of this being a bug, maybe this is a feature. I mean, even the designs of the Peacemakers, they look familiar. Maybe literal collar and cuffs? And these are mandatory to wear at all times, you can't opt out. And that's not too far off. Ana's mom is the head of the PTA and is trying to get a bill signed. You think this society is strict? Try saying that after being forced to wear these. Yeah, a little fucked up for the literal government to say you have to wear this thing. Obvious problem is brought up.
For male and female students alike.
But another social commentary with this line.
When the students at the rally slip on these fancy new PMs, they'll automatically sign. Thanks to this device, even our opponents will be stopped in their tracks.
So with the help of this, the government will control your speech, hand gestures, your libido, and now will force you to sign a bill even if you don't like it. This anime is weirdly deep. Let's start with the concept of a dirty joke. How do you define obscene? To quote Justice Potter Stewart's on pornography, I know when I see it. Yeah, obscene can be easy to spot sometimes, but it's the in-between stuff that confuses people. We can literally look at women and see throughout history what was deemed pornographic. 100 years ago, needed to wear a fancy dress and 5 different accessories before being presentable to go outside. 75 years ago, women had to wear skirts to school, even in the winter. Women in Japan have strict dress codes, even down to the underwear. Betty Page was on trial for her pinups in what was obscene versus art. 40 years ago, Tipper Gore tried to get rock and roll ban on obscenity. 20 years ago, Nipplegate ruined movies and television, and Hot Coffee was teaching our kids sex or something. 10 years ago, Slenderman and Miley Cyrus was corrupting the youth, and now we are going after anime. Again. Or, how about actual speech? That shit gets even more confusing. Lenny Bruce was literally arrested for saying fuck during his sets on stage at comedy clubs. No kids were around, it was all adults who knew they were going here for jokes of a risque nature, and now comedians could go on stage and say fuck for whatever fucking reason they want. Hell, I said fuck at least 10 fucking times in this video alone. And it's not like these laws prevent you from talking about this stuff, you just gotta find ways around it. In Shimoneta, the characters will still talk about taboo subjects, but they self-censor themselves now.
Hey, did you hear? Word is if you wear a girl's undergarments, your tricky stick falls off.
Can you please tell me where babies come from and how they are created?
Huh? Whoa, seriously? Because I heard wearing a girl's underthings makes you grow, schmammary glands.
Guys, did you know if a girl lifts weights, her hair down there turns into a boy pickle?
Your knuckles just brushed against my bum area.
What? I wasn't anywhere close to your bum area.
Even I have to censor part of this show, lest the almighty YouTube copyright detector deems it unworthy, or someone complains that I said a during a or I said fuck again. I would compare this to the whole thing of canceling Colbert and Kimmel over low ratings or violent jokes, but several others are also responsible too. TikTok literally has a policy saying content that is too sad may not be recommended. They literally made brain rot algo speak in real life where certain words get replaced in order to not get censored. You want to do a video on something serious? Does it have to be this?
You saw those cloud dogs top. The ones with all the guest passes.
Yeah. Whole lot of familiar handles on there. Some folks acting like they never boarded the sky bus.
And the main host got unalived way too fast for comfort.
Total success of the moment. Cameras blinked, gods blinked, everyone blinked.
Funny how that always happens when the receipts start printing.
Yeah, like the system hits Control Z on itself.
Now people whispering that there's a backup cloud somewhere.
The note always remembers. The real files just go to sleep mode.
I heard the files were spicy.
Word, let's go have some lolos.
Yeah, it's a little hard to take anything seriously if you have to sound like a 3-year-old that only just learned what curse words are. And because you have to tiptoe around the subject, this causes even more confusion and misinformation to spread. I say Google it, but knowing Google probably went and fed me at least 20 ads before telling me what I wanted to know. Also, remember, they deleted all the pornography, but what do they deem pornographic? How to have sex? Where do I put it? Is it supposed to last more than 5 hours? Where's the hospital? That last one you might want to go see a doctor for. Actually, this is answered twice in the series and in real life. With the Peacemaker's chastity bells, how is their wedding night supposed to go? How is the honeymoon supposed to go?
No, the other left. Why are you sitting down?
I get confused.
Oh, for God's sake, just follow the arrows.
Actually, that is a good question. How is the repopulation being maintained here? Japan already has a population problem, so how are there still kids in schools around? Shouldn't it be children of men by now? Well, going into that one plot point I know is in the light novels. By the by, spoilers by the way, they talk about how they control the population. Since all sex education is banned, and with the chastity belts, they could kind of deem who has sex with who, or in other words, eugenics! The show actually does address this when this prefix shows up. Not the eugenics part, they didn't get that far. But what is pornographic? She starts removing items from the school that aren't pornographic, but asks the question. This is Oboru Shikimi Gusuka, a supporting character introduced in the second half of Shimoneta. He is everything wrong with this society. Everyday items you never saw as dirty or filthy is now looked at through this lens. That projection now disrupts everything from basketball games to go into the bathroom. Good thing this is only fiction and not practiced in the real world, right? Right? And yeah, if you are listening, yes, I am playing the pronoun game, because this is a dude who looks like a lady. But they are only a product of this world.
But that means you have no real identity of your own.
I do have an identity. If Mr. Matsukage tells me to be male, I'm male. If he tells me to be female, I'm female. If Miss Anna thinks peppers are delicious, then I think they're delicious. If she says pudding is disgusting, then I say it's disgusting. That is my identity.
Literally born into the world only to be shackled and chained, taught only the bad but never the good. Literally beaten into submission until you don't have a single dirty thought. In fact, no thoughts at all, except to what is put in. And no personality. They have nothing that is their own. So I think we are up to speech, gestures, sexual identity, sexuality, thought, and even bodily autonomy now that they can restrict on you. Because they don't really have an original thought, or action, or constitution, or conviction, they are easily corruptible. This personal bodyguard to Anna allows her to basically do whatever her baser instincts want to do, and it's justified under the provisions programmed into them. They were programmed to protect Anna from outside influences, but not stop her or restrain her if she's the one doing the crime. So again, you could arrest someone for having some risque jokes, but all these crimes Anna has done is fine. That's literally King of the Hill logic. Okay, so basketball hoops can go, and netting can go. I mean, what about ties? I've seen plenty of ties used in a sexual way. And they're all wearing ties. All this just leads to extreme excess and even more perverted activity. Because pornography is banned and they can't Google that anymore, this was the student's first porno.
We can't. You're a rebel who wears leather, and I'm a good little rich girl at the top of my class. Oh.
But look how wet you are. I know you want me in my bad boy tude.
Oh, yes, I do.
Because the Peacemakers don't allow lewd behavior, she has to draw with her mouth or feet. The main villain in the second half is White Peak. Doesn't want to change the world for the better, he just wants to indulge in his panty fetish. Could have just been a normal guy into boobs, but because of the censorship, now you have this. Because Anna was never allowed to explore her sexuality, she basically became what she was fighting against without realizing it, committing several crimes along the way, all this caused by severe repression, not understanding what consent is. You are forcing the students to be into bugs and have the taste of Tarantino. And again, only fiction. This has never ever 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 happened in real life. But in the meantime, Blue Snow finds a middle ground.
I wish to become a dirty joke. I'm serious. I want to become a dirty joke. Why? Because our society scorns their very existence and calls them evil and unnatural. But dirty jokes have a right to exist and be heard, and I have a right to aspire to be one. What's the point of making jokes at all if they have to be clean? Jokes appeal to us because they can be so wrong. Jokes get us excited because we don't know how people will react to them. I became the devil because I believe that laughing at what's sick can make society healthy. To destroy this boring world where dirty jokes do not exist. Now go fuck yourselves!
Gathered Fabric, another organization led by White Peak, shares the same views as Socks. Difference is, Socks wants to teach people peacefully. Gathered Fabric wants to achieve to the people through violence and fear. And again, with the only goal of panties. While the system wants to punish any and all lewd material. I may like dirty jokes and looking at porn, but she's not really forcing anyone to watch it or read it. Only showing that you do have a choice in the matter. I think that's the main point in Shimoneta. It isn't about the sex, the obscenities, or even the dirty jokes. This is the subtlety of the show. Choice. If you want to look at this subject, fine. If you want to read about this, fine. If you want to tell dirty jokes, no, that's fine too. With knowledge comes wisdom and understanding of the world. And as my subtlety has alluded to, we have unfortunately seen a rise in this type of rhetoric. Book bans banning books with LGBT themes. That's fine for your kid if you don't want them to read about it, but not okay for you to dictate what my kid can read. But then it's overextended to books outside of that parameter, books with black characters, or even basic sex ed books. And again, they tackle this in the manga. In this world, they look down on farmers because they have forbidden knowledge on sex. I would assume if you live on a farm, if you are handling animals, probably good to know a bit about them. You really think this is gonna happen?
I want to try the horsey! This is fun! Look at me, Daddy, I'm a farmer!
This does relate to real life. Anthony Comstock was a famous book burner. And again, overextended that from burning lewd pictures in literature to literal medical textbooks and personal letters. Yeah, they will try to justify it by saying that you could still buy it, tax dollars just won't fund it. Well, okay, but what about those who don't want to shell out $20 for a book? Or how about kids who might want to read about it? I doubt any 8-year-old wants to spend what little money they have on a book. It doesn't even have to be a moral censorship. It could be a financial one. Make it financially unfeasible to sell this item. We already seen it happen several times this year from Collective Shout going after the payment processes for itch.io. And again, what is pornography? Yeah, some games might have a risque material, but others were dealing with more adult subjects, no sex involved, just trying to communicate with their audience without sounding like a condescending cunt. Or how about literal governments pressuring networks into compliance or face financial punishment? Taking comedians off air for what? A few dirty jokes? Getting information wrong? Low ratings? The comedian is held to a higher standard than actual news reporters? I thought we were past this in the 60s. And is that really the most pressing issue for a government to focus on? So why do all this? Well, going back to Oboru, they want more of that. They want to mold kids into their image of a perfect world. They want complete obedience and compliance. They want control over everything you are, everything you do, everything you make. But like Blue Snow, the way to fight back against this is to keep telling the jokes and obscenities. Will there be bad jokes? Absolutely. Will you overuse?
Shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, tit!
Probably, but at least it was your choice to make and not someone else's. And if you think this might be reaching a bit, well, this is the logo for the PTA. Like this show, I also have 50 Shades of Grey. Not the book, the idea. I'm never reading that BDSM and Twilight fanfiction, mostly because I wasn't the first one to do it. What was I talking about again? Oh yeah, censorship. So is all censorship bad? Yes and no. It's a case-by-case basis. I won't get political anymore, but even Shimoneta, the anti-censorship show, does do slight censorship. Specifically with the dub. Now this isn't for kids' level of censorship, like turning One Piece into a kid show with their water guns, or replacing jelly donuts of Pokemon with rice balls.
Nothing beats a jelly-filled donut.
But when a dub is made, it can never go one-for-one translation to the original. Some things in Japan are common, might not be common in other places, and vice versa. I doubt all the lines were the same in Japanese, but this is mainly done so the performance comes through nice and crisp and flows naturally. Otherwise, we get 90s Berserk opening.
So put your glasses on, nothing will be wrong.
Also, to get this on television, they probably had to censor it a bit, but that's why we have Blu-rays, which, yikes, that price is high. While we are on the subject of actors, I think the superior one is the dub, mostly because I get 2010's Monica Rial and Jamie Marchi together again. If you're wondering if they sound familiar to any characters, that's probably because this was the closest we got to a panty and stocking season 2, before they finally got to the real one 10 years later.
I'm back from rocking out with my out. Get this. Some dude just came up to me and thrust his package in my face. And you see a hot chick's armpit, only it's hairy and reminds you of her pussy. So you start stroking your cock to get the poison out before it backs up and hurts your brain.
Of course not. Why would you say that? I'm naturally petite and thin. I'm the reason tweens make themselves hurl. Ah, I love it. The sensation. It feels so right. Oh my. And what is this?
These two really do steal the show back when Funimation was still alive and had a spine. Other than that, everyone else has a fine performance. It just got overshadowed by these two. These were the Heath Ledgers of Shimoneta. The only other voice I can make out is Chris Sabat as the narrator and as the final villain of this 11-episode series. He's doing his All Might voice before All Might was cool.
Have no fear, students. Because I am here.
And from what I could tell, the sub is also pretty good too, even if I can't understand it. I would give it a watch only because Miyu Matsuki, Anna's voice actress, she unfortunately died that year, so this was literally probably one of her last performances. Yeah, so like I said, I have read the manga, and they do enter a tournament arc, so anything beyond that I don't know about. The anime kind of ends on Socks inheriting a treasure trove of sexually explicit material, but it's honestly just more pop culture history museum. Black base isn't even in the manga, maybe the novels, but that's it. Maybe they wanted to close this anime, leave it ambiguous, so Shimoneta is one and done, short 11 episodes, easier to get through than One Piece. I think that would really be my only complaint, the best complaint. I want more. I want them to expand on the topic. If this were to be made today, definitely not by Funimation. One is they get weirdly selective on what they dubbed, like they did this but not interspecies reviewers. Yeah, I will never let that go. The other reason is because, well, Funimation is gone. Little hard to do anything when you're dead. But if Shimoneta were made today, I can see a few scenarios they could tackle. They can critique bathroom policy. They could tackle on the bathroom policy and how it just makes everything more dangerous since you now have people deeming who goes to which bathroom. They could go into the creation of AI, government-regulated porn, or girlfriends, asking is society repressed or has sexuality literally been privatized and commodified? They could go into tech censorship, cancel culture, digital sexuality, public shaming. They could follow Goroki's false accusation in the beginning, see where his life goes after that. That's basically an entire Black Mirror episode right there. You have the entire human sexuality spectrum to explore for stories. That would be awesome. But with more and more laws I see regulating bodily autonomy, well, Ayame said it best.
I do know that this boring world where the concept of dirty jokes doesn't exist has got to end someday, and until then, we'll keep fighting.
That's a bitch slap of truth right there.
At its core, Shimoneta has always been more than a parade of dirty jokes. It's a satire about what happens when institutions try to sanitize human expression. The 2015 anime exaggerated Japan's obscenity laws, but the message was universal. The more you try to suppress desire, the louder and stranger it comes back. If the series were made today, it wouldn't be chokers and morality police. It would be algorithms, shadow bans, social purity tests. Censorship no longer looks like government agents kicking in your door. It looks more like community guidelines violations, or an invisible filter quietly deciding which voices get buried. That's why Shimoneta still matters as a lens. It reminds us that censorship, whether by the state or by platform we use, doesn't just erase dirty jokes, it erases the messy, the awkward, the very human parts of expression and experience. And when we lose that, we risk losing the freedom to laugh at ourselves. Which, ironically, might be the dirtiest joke of all. I am going to be busy this month. I got some more Halloween stuff coming up and want to try to end the year with the Netflix Interactive is done with. If you have any requests, let me know down in the comments. Leave a like, subscribe, you know the drill. Jopon, out!